What is good, everybody? Hello, hello. I hope you are awesome. As you can tell, am going to talk today about this idea of living as the greatest you. And what the heck does that even mean, right? It sounds awesome. I would like to do that. I would hope that I am doing that, right? But what the heck does that even mean? And I'm proposing to you on today that that is something that you activate. And that is something that you haven't fully discovered and that it's going to take your whole life to uncover. But it is also something that comes from being so committed to letting your light shine in and out of every season. No matter what you're presented with, you are determined to be the light, right? And what's interesting about that is as you cultivate that, as you get really strong in that, you're also going to be sent to dark places to be the light. So it's really important to actually learn. And I think that there is often not enough context for that, right? We think about doing enough, personal development or reading enough books or listening to enough podcasts or doing enough trainings or whatever, we're suddenly going to arrive and just be this great, awesome person. However, it's not just something that you arrive at. It's something that you're constantly becoming. You're on this journey all the time. Who you were yesterday is not who you are today, and it's not who you're going to be tomorrow unless you decide to keep repeating the same story. So this idea, this concept, this vision of the greatest you get to decide who you're going to be one day at a time and one moment at a time. That's how it happens, okay? And as you're so committed to letting your light shine and being your light, what you're actually doing is you're in resilience training in a lot of ways. You're training your soul what's appropriate, how to show up, how to navigate this, and hopefully you're navigating with wisdom and discernment. And that never looks the same. Okay. You can't always predict how you're going to show up based on what happens, right? So let me invite you to think about how to go about this, thinking about this really, right? So this idea of the greatest you, I believe that it's something that you activate. And it's an intentional thing that you're doing, again, one day at a time and one moment at a time. It's deciding what is it that you want to activate? What is it that you need to activate? And being so committed and diligent about what you're focusing on that you are doing that. Because if you activate something sometimes, right, then you're inconsistent and you don't get good at that, right? So for example, if you want to be more aware of your diet and what you're eating and what you're putting in your body, but you keep eating the same things every week that make you feel heavy and lethargic and have headaches and just make you feel gross, you're not going to have the outcome that taking care of your body and cleaning up your diet would give you. So there needs to be new activation happening. In order to release all these bad habits, I'm going to activate new ones. I'm going to have a plan for going to the grocery store that's consistent every week until that becomes a new ritual for me. I'm going to eat things that give me energy and make me feel good rather than things that I think that I need just for instant gratification. And I'm going to make a grocery list and be intentional about what I'm buying at the store. And I'm not going to use my money to destroy my body, right? You could be that intense, right? So you need to be activating something different. If I want to be a leader and build a team, I can't do that on the same level of thinking that I'm at. They're going to have challenges. There's going to be struggles. They're going to need some breakthrough, right? So I'm going to need to be building up my mind and growing in things that are necessary, growing in empathy, growing in transparency, growing in communication, growing in what I express and how I express it, growing in sensitivity and awareness, right? This is all important in being a leader. But if you don't activate that new training, that new development, then you will stay the same and you won't have the thing you desire and you'll be frustrated that you don't have it. So this greatest you doesn't just happen. It requires effort and it requires you being diligent about what you focus on because you're going to create a case for whatever you focus on. And whatever you focus on, you're going to find evidence of. So if you're determined to find evidence of something, right? Like let's go to an extreme. If you're determined to find evidence that your partner is unfaithful, you're going to find something, right? Even if your partner is absolutely faithful, that distrust alone and that determination to find something, you could find a text that you don't like. You'll create a case for what it is that you're after. So you've got to be diligent about what you're bringing into focus and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Does the greatest you focus on these things? Does the greatest you speak about these things? Does the greatest you allow yourself to show up in this way? Does your greatest you surround yourself with these people? Does your greatest you practice these habits? Does your greatest you ask this and you answer and you get better feedback, right? So I encourage you to think about having an advisory board in your mind. This will help you understand, especially in the beginning when you're not used to thinking about what you're thinking about. This will help you understand what it is that you're activating. Who do you need? If you were to launch an organization, if you were to launch a ministry, you're going to need an advisory board. Who do you need on this board? Do you need somebody that is a critic and challenges your thoughts so that you can check things out from all angles and perspectives? Do you need a coach and that person to encourage you and to motivate you and tell you to try again when it's really hard and when you get all the no's and you get the resistance and you get the challenges? Do you need the researcher or the knowledge bringer, right? The person that goes and seeks new information and can deliver context? Do you need the expert, the person that's put in all these hours and grown and trained in these areas? Who do you need to show up? And you put into practice the advice that your advisory board gives you. I invite you to think about this only because you're the expert in you. You know what you need. You know what the greatest version of you looks like. And your advisory board will help you activate it. You can call on them in different times and different seasons to give you this feedback that you need to keep you on a steady incline, not moving just forward, but up and elevating, right? So they will help you prioritize. They will help you be diligent about what you're focusing on and keep that vision of the greatest you in focus, right? So I encourage you to put this into practice, to not take this greatest you lightly and understand that it requires work. The greatest you in a relationship, what does that person look like? How do they show up? What do they think about? How are they developing? What value are they bringing to the person they're in a relationship? The greatest you as a boss, how do you show up? How do you lead people? How do you train people? How do you give feedback? How do you confront issues that are uncomfortable, right? The greatest you as a parent, the greatest you as a friend, the greatest you as a son or a daughter. How do you show up? And that's something that you decide. That's something that you activate, and you get really good at being what you want other people to be for you. Really. And so you develop your advisory board to help train you. You need a coach to help get your butt in shape. You need the critic or the hater who's going to give you all of the things that you should think about, so that even when people come at you and say something, you've already thought about it, right? Doesn't even affect you, right? Or you need new knowledge and new information. So maybe you need, to go get new knowledge and new information. Or maybe you need the expert or the reminder that you're actually talented in these things and that's what you need to pursue, or that's what you need to share more of. But calling on your advisory board, it makes it a lighter, easier thing to pull on when you're thinking about activating your potential. The other thing that you can do is think about the traits or the qualities that you admire in other people, and how can you intentionally activate those in yourself? How can you be more joyful? How can you be more confident? How can you be, right? You decide, but you decide by being aware of what you admire in other people and recognize that you have that too. You're just not activating it. Okay. So I encourage you definitely to activate the greatest you. The world needs that. To give yourself grace when you're not showing up as that person, and to fall in love with constantly becoming that person and discovering what it feels like to be great, to be excellent, right? Not perfect, not a people pleaser, not a high achiever, but you. What does the greatest you look like? I encourage you to check it out and do this assignment and share this with somebody that needs to hear this and needs the encouragement. All right. Until next time, guys, stay blessed.